Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, as always, it's the one, it's the only, it's the motherfucking General Miguel Magayon. And as always, it's the president, it's the founder, it's the CEO of Magayon Entertainment and the leader of the sports betting Mexican podcast. What up, what up, what up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back this evening. Coming back to you guys live from Las Vegas. And I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, we made a killing in the sports book this weekend. We made a killing in the crypto markets this weekend. And we were making a fucking beatdown in the stock market this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, it was amazing. It was amazing. Ever since last week around Wednesday, Thursday, and at the start of Friday, we've been doing nothing but printing money, ain't doing nothing but making money, and ain't doing nothing but cashing motherfucking tickets this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an amazing Veterans Day weekend. So one more time, just as a reminder, shout out to all the veterans out there. Shout out to everyone who's active duty, and shout out to everyone who served this country just like I did. We appreciate our veterans. We respect our veterans. We admire the veterans. And just a shout out to all the veterans like me out there, whether you were in the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force, or the motherfucking Marine Corps, just like me, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to everyone who served our country. Shout out to everyone who's on active duty. Shout out to everyone who's deployed overseas this evening. And shout out to everyone who is getting ready to deploy this evening. Shout out to all of the active duty, all of the reservists, and all of the combat veterans who are subscribed to this channel this evening. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. This weekend was fucking bloody murder. We fucking killed their bitch asses. We fucking smoked the sports book this weekend. We were motherfucking killing it all week long, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing but profits, nothing but gains, and nothing but motherfucking interest on top of the interest is the name of the game. So let's start off with Thursday, and we're going to go all the way through until Monday night this evening. The Denver Broncos taking on the Buffalo Bills this evening. So let's do a quick recap of everything that happened this past weekend. And, I'll give you guys all of my wins and all of my losses, even though there weren't any this weekend. So let's start off with the Thursday night game, the one that was on Amazon Prime. You guys know I like to talk shit about that. I still don't know why the NFL does this. I feel like this was a fucked up deal, and I think they need to go back to just putting that shit on fucking, Sports Center or NFL Network, or just make it, free on cable TV. I don't know, but this Amazon Prime Video shit, man, it's fucking garbage. It's whack. It's trash. Basura. Disgusting. I hate watching NFL games on fucking Prime Network now. It feels like there's always a lag, there's always a glitch, there's always a delay, it always does a fucking reset. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there on Amazon fucking Prime Network, Prime Video, whatever the fuck. But I don't like it. I'm not a fan. So the Thursday night game was a stay away game for me. That was the Panthers going at the Bears. You guys know how I feel about this. It's hard to gauge Bryce Young. It's hard to get a feel for him because his offensive line is trash. His receivers can't get separation, and his defense is basically mediocre to average. And I feel like a lot of the defense has already given up on the season. So it's really hard to kind of like gauge and get a feel for the Carolina Panthers. They ain't been the same since Cam Newton left. Let's just, call it what it is. Let's just say it out loud. They have not been the same since Cam Newton left there. Went to go out there to play for the fucking bitch-ass New England Patriots. Wow, what a fucking, not a wise career decision. But anyways, so Bryce Young, he continues to struggle. He continues to look like shit. The offense, as a whole looks like fucking garbage. But again, it's hard to really get a feel for them because the offensive line is garbage. The receivers can't get separation. And you know what I mean? Bryce Young is trying to do the best he can, even though he looks like a midget in the pocket. Again, I'm not really a believer in Bryce Young. I said that coming out of the draft. For me, myself, and I, just personally, I just feel like he's not big enough to be a quarterback in the pocket. And I know a lot of people will always say, oh, well, Russell Wilson did it. Yeah, he also had the Legion of Boom. What the fuck does Bryce Young have? You know what I mean? He don't even got a boom, let alone a fucking Legion. He ain't got nothing. He got fucking toy soldiers out there playing on Soldier Field. You gotta fucking be kidding me. So, no. At least Russell Wilson, again, he made it to the Super Bowl twice, won one, the first one, and on the second one, they didn't want to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch at the fucking 1 yard line. You gotta fucking be kidding me. I know fucking Richard Sherman's gonna carry that shit to his grave. Him and Cam Chancellor and fucking the rest of the boys on the Legion of Boom. But the point is, Earl Thomas, he was a fucking stud back in the day. But again, Russell Wilson, he had Marshawn Lynch. He had the Legion of Boom. He had good wide receivers. They were good enough to win it on offense. He was able to get it done with Marshawn Lynch leading the fucking charge. And the Legion of Boom they locked down teams that season during their entire reign in the league, honestly. And Bryce Young does not have that. He does not have a Marshawn Lynch. He does not have fast wide receivers. And his defense looks mediocre to average. And, I honestly think it's because a lot of them have already given up on the season because they know they're not going to win anything this season. And a lot of them are probably going to get traded in the offseason. It's going to be hard to rebuild this roster. Again, the Chicago Bears own the first round pick of the Carolina Panthers. So the Chicago Bears, they're probably going to get the first 2 picks in the draft, at least 2 of the first 3. So we'll see what the Bears end up doing with Justin Fields, but it's hard for the Panthers because they're going to suck all year and they're not even going to get their first round draft pick. I mean, that's fucking depressing when you really think about it. All this pain, all this agony, all this depression, all this fucking sadness, all this fucking suck-assness that they're experiencing right now. And they don't even get their first round draft pick. You gotta fucking be kidding me. That shit will break a motherfucker. I bet their GM is crying right now. And again, it's not, I don't want to put it all on Bryce Young. You know what I mean? Even though I do think he's too little to be a quarterback in this league. Just ask Kyler Murray. These motherfucking midgets, they go down left and right every week. I just don't think he's big enough, I think you need a man back there that's able to stand in the pocket and be able to look over his offensive linemen and look down the field to his wide receivers. I'm not a fan of a fucking little guy in the pocket. And I know Russell Wilson did it. But again, he had Marshawn Lynch and the Legion of fucking Boom. What the fuck does Bryce Young have? He don't even got a fucking boom, in my opinion. And then you could also say, Drew Brees did it. But Drew Brees had fucking Sean Payton. Who the fuck does Bryce Young have? I don't even know the name of his coach. He looks like a dumbass. So, you know what I mean? Like, I guess if you have the coach and GM and Sean Payton that quote unquote knows how to rebuild a roster and, get the wide receivers going and he knows how to do all these things schematically. Yeah, we'll see how he does tonight against Buffalo. But the point is, like, he was able to do it, with Drew Brees, but I think that was more about Sean Payton to me. So again, there's only really been 2 small little dudes who've been able to go to the Super Bowl and who've won it. And one of them had one of the greatest offensive coaches of all time in Sean Payton, and the other one had one of the best defenses of all time in the Legion of Boom. And Bryce Young has neither of those 2 things. He don't got nothing, not even a fucking boom. So yeah, in my opinion, I think the Panthers are probably going to continue to suck ass. And by the way, it's not that they're trying to tank this season. I'm not trying to sit here and call out the Panthers and say they're intentionally trying to lose games this season. I know they're trying to win because losing doesn't really make a difference because they're not going to get that first, round draft pick anyways. So it doesn't really matter if they fucking win or lose. So I know pretty much they're trying to win. They're trying to get the experience. They're trying to develop. They're trying to grow. Even though I would say it's pretty much for nothing because you're trying to like build the offense and build camaraderie and cohesiveness and, do all this skills development. But at the same time, half these dudes next year probably aren't even going to be on the roster. So I think what the Panthers should be doing is just evaluating talent and trying to figure out who's going to be here and who's not going to be here next season. And the guys that we know we like, let's get them the most amount of game reps as possible. But then what happens is some of those guys that you like, they end up going down because of injuries, and then you got to put in the backup that you don't like, and now the backup's the one getting all that experience, the backup's the one getting the first team reps, the backup that you don't like is probably the one getting all the development, and he's the one you're trying to trade in the offseason. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like fucked if you do, fucked if you're not. So it just sucks for the Carolina Panthers. I feel bad for that fan base, but not really. Like I said, they ain't been the same since they fucking let Cam Newton walk. Other than that, you got the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, he's down. So now you have a backup right there running the offense. Again, we'll see what they do with Justin Fields in the offseason. Again, I've said this time and time again, and I'll continue to say it. I'm not sure if they really keep Justin Fields. If the Chicago Bears, for some reason, end up getting the first overall pick or even the second, if they get a shot at Caleb Williams, would you take it? Would you give up Justin Fields and basically trade him away for a fucking bucket of popcorn and go ahead and get Caleb Williams? I will, if it was me. But I also feel like that's a disservice to Caleb Williams because he's going to have to deal with the same bullshit that Justin Fields had to deal with, which is basically a dumbass at fucking calling the offense, a head coach who's a moron to me, and a fucking, a group of wide receivers where they're good, they're okay, they're aight. But I think Chicago Bears receivers are kind of average. I don't think they're special. I don't think they're elite. I don't think they're top 5. And, maybe Caleb Williams can make them look like they're top 5, who can make them look like they're, better than they turn out to be. Maybe, Tom Brady did that for a long time in New England with a bunch of average, mediocre receivers. He made them look like they were top 5, so I don't know. Maybe Caleb could make this offense look like they're on fire, but again, I think they're doing a disservice to him if they keep the head coach and the offensive play coordinator, because I think they both need to get fired. So we'll see if they get Caleb Williams, but if they don't get Caleb Williams, I still wouldn't be surprised if they don't draft a new QB anyways. We'll see. If it was me though, unless it's Caleb Williams, I don't want to draft a new QB. If it was me and I was running Chicago and I was a GM in that position, I would trade. It's tough. I don't know. In my opinion, I might look to trade I would trade one of those picks. I would either trade my pick or I would trade the Carolina pick, and I would get a bunch of second round draft picks, like 2 or 3 or 4 of those motherfuckers, because I feel like the Chicago Bears have multiple holes on this roster. It's not just the wide receivers, it's the offensive linemen who suck ass. They need a fucking big tight end to give them those short fucking passes to Justin Fields or whoever the new QB ends up, to be. Because I feel like they don't have enough short passes sometimes, and Justin Fields is always fucking trying to go on 3rd and 10, 2nd and 10, and that's because they don't run the ball well enough. So maybe you get a running back in this draft, and I feel like they don't have enough short to intermediary passes for Justin Fields, and he's always trying to throw the ball downfield, and that's leading to a shit ton of interceptions. So to me, I would look to get like a big ass fucking tight end. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a Travis Kelce or a Gronkowski, but just get him a big fucking target that can go up there and get the ball. He doesn't have to be fast. He doesn't have to be athletic. He doesn't have to have fucking top-notch speed. All he has to do is be able to run a fucking 5-yard dump and fucking catch pass. That way, Justin Fields can go from fucking 2nd and 10 and 3rd and 10 to fucking 2nd and 3, 3rd and 4, which is going to help this offense. Again, you don't need a fucking high-fly wide receiver. Just get this dude a big-ass tight end, a big-ass target. Again, he doesn't have to be agile, doesn't have to be versatile, doesn't have to hit top-notch speed. Just give him a big, massive fucking target that can catch that 5-yard fucking dump pass. So that way, instead of always being 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, he can get a fucking 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3 for once in his fucking career. I think the Bears should get a big-ass tight end in this draft, in my opinion, and then go from there. So, I don't know, maybe you trade, one of those picks to get multiple second-round picks and just continue to load up this roster because you have so many fucking holes dealing with so many fucking injuries and you have so many dudes who need to get replaced in the offseason. Or you just get the 2 best players in the draft. You know what I mean? Who knows? But I think they definitely need to get an offensive lineman, maybe 2 or 3. Because this O-line is trash, the wide receivers can't get separation, and I think they need to get a big-ass fucking target for Justin Fields, whoever the new QB ends up being. So that's what I would do if I was the Chicago Bears. I would strongly consider trading at least one, maybe both of those, top 2 picks, because again, you have multiple holes on this roster. One dude's not going to come in and just fucking do it, even if you do draft a new QB, in my opinion. Right, so we'll see what the Bears do, but they have options. That's good. You always want to have options in life. You always want to have options in your career path. You always want to have options, when it comes to business. So, I think the Bears are going to be set up for success, whether they keep Justin Fields or they end up trading him in the offseason. and see what they can get. Hopefully more than a bag of popcorn. As far as the Panthers are concerned, I think they're going to continue to suck this year and next year. Now, they do have a lot of salary cap in the offseason, so maybe they go after someone like a Chase Young and give him a max contract to help out the defense. I think they're going to be looking to spend money in the offseason. Again, Bryce Young, he's a rookie, so, he makes money, but not too much money. And everyone else on the roster is basically on a rookie deal. So you have money to spend. You have salary cap. This is when you want to go get a fucking Jonathan Taylor. This is when you want to go get a big running back. This is when you want to get a good, strong defensive end like Chase Young. This is when you want to go get, those big dudes who want a massive contract, but they earned it, and their teams can't afford to keep them anymore. This is when you want to do some shit like that. Maybe you even trade next year's first round pick and you get a fucking top-notch wide receiver who could actually get separation in his fucking career. Maybe you do some shit like that. Who fucking knows, right? But, I would look to do something like that. Look at what Jacksonville did for Trevor Lawrence. I feel like Trevor Lawrence has a really good roster compared to what he used to have because they're trying to slowly but surely build around him. And I know he got his ass whooped this weekend, but if you guys remember Trevor Lawrence, his rookie year, they fucking sucked. You know what I mean? Jacksonville might win the division. Who fucking knows this year? So, you know what I mean? Like, start to build pieces around him. It's not going to happen overnight. Not everyone's like the fucking San Francisco 49ers or, you know what I mean? Like, not everyone's fucking, going to be able to go from bust to Super Bowl in like 4 or 5 years. It's a process. It takes a while. So, yeah, if I'm the Panthers, they're probably going to continue to suck next year. So I would look to start spending money in the offseason next year in the summer. And like I said, go after some of these marquee free agents because you ain't got nothing but time and money. Fuck it. Might as well start to build the roster. And again, I would continue to look for wide receivers. Either you trade for one and trade next year's first round pick or the following one, or you look in the NFL draft and draft like at least 2 or 3 wide receivers. And again, some more offensive linemen because they cannot protect Bryce Young. And this dude is too little, too small, and he's not athletic enough or agile enough, in my opinion, to actually escape the pocket and run and get the first down. I feel like this dude's getting sacked a lot because he doesn't have that top-notch speed. He's not, you know what I mean? He's little, but he's not elusive. He's not quick. He's not fast like that. This dude be getting sacked all the fucking time. So, in my opinion, yeah, I'm not really a fan of what I'm seeing from Bryce Young. I'm not a believer, but if you're going to keep him, then you better put some good protection around him. Otherwise, he's going to continue to suck ass. So anyways, moving on, that was that game. Let's go on to the Sunday morning game out there in fucking Frankfurt, Germany. The Indianapolis Colts against the New England Patriots. What did I tell you guys last week about Frankfurt, Germany? Fuck that place. Been there, overrated. I didn't like it. Germany's not for me, and I think their fucking beer stinks. That's just my opinion. But Indianapolis Colts go out there to Frankfurt, Germany to go play the fucking New England Patriots. You got to be kidding me. And I told you guys, I think they need to have more games in Mexico City because every time they have those games in Azteca Stadium, I feel like those games are packed out. I feel like those games be hyped. You guys ever see those games like on Sunday Night Football when they're playing out there in Mexico City to expand their global fan base? I love watching the games in Mexico City, the environment, the atmosphere, the people are getting hyped up. I don't even know if they know the rules of football, but fuck it, they win anyways. But then when I watch the games out there in fucking London or fucking dirty ass Europe and Frankfurt, Germany with their Holocaust shit, I be looking at that, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it just looks like a bunch of drunk white people. No thank you. Not for me. So I'm not a fan of the games in Frankfurt, Germany. I prefer if they had more games in like Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, because if you can get some of those soccer fans addicted to football, those games would be fucking hyped, man. So I'm a big believer in having more games in like Spanish America, Latin America, South America, because I'm telling you guys right now, those soccer fans from Mexico to Brazil to Argentina to Venezuela to Peru, you get those motherfuckers addicted to football, it's a whole new fucking ball game. Stop playing stupid fucking games in Frankfurt, Germany. These motherfuckers, they don't even care. They got so much bullshit they're dealing with in Europe. So anyways, getting back to the game now, Colts out there and fucking playing New England and Frankfurt, Germany, and I told you to take the, I said I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and it is. It ended up being 10-6. Mac Jones is not that dude. I don't know how many times I have to say it. I don't know how many times I have to stress it. This motherfucker sucks. He is so fucking garbage. He might be the worst QB in the league right now. I can't believe he lost to the Colts. I'm not surprised. I actually picked the Colts to win, but I said it. I think this is a low scoring game. I think both of these teams are just going to run the ball. Both of the offenses are going to be fucking hot garbage. And I said I don't see a lot of points being scored in this game. And I think it's going to be a boring game, which it was. I didn't even watch that shit. I just looked at the score. I was like 10-6. You got to be kidding me. I bet everyone in Europe went to sleep. I mean, this was a fucking disaster. This was an unmitigated disaster. They should have scrapped this game and sent somebody out there, some other team out there to fucking England, because this game fucking sucked. It was trash to me. I told you, if you guys, I know a lot of you guys like to do teasers. I said the only teaser I would recommend would be taking the under 32 or some shit like that, or no, under 42, and pushing it to like under 49, or I think that's what it was. And I said I would like a teaser, and instead of getting under 42, I would do the 7-point teaser and get it to under 49.5. This shit was fucking under 20. You got to be kidding me. So I had a lot of people text me that was easy money. I was like, yeah, because these teams fucking suck. So moving on past that fucking hot garbage. What else we got? We got the Saints. Oh no, we had the Commanders at the Seahawks. Commanders at the Seahawks. That was an interesting game. I said this was part of the teaser. I said I would tease the Colts Patriots game, and instead of under 42.5, I would do under 49.5. And then for the Seahawks, instead of getting them -6, -7, I would just get them at +1 to even money. Well, guess what? That fucking teaser cashed. So congratulations, and you're fucking welcome to anyone who's following me and taking my recommendations, because that shit fucking hit. Under 49.5 Colts Patriots, and then the Seahawks +1 to even money. That shit fucking hit. That was an easy teaser. That was great money. That was easy profits. You're fucking welcome, America. And I said I trust the Seahawks to win. I just don't know if they're going to cover the 6.5. And I said the Commanders are a scrappy team. They don't just bow down. Like, Washington doesn't just roll over to anybody. And I know they're missing Chase Young because they traded him out there to fucking San Fran. But, this is still a scrappy team. And for some reason, Bieniemy, it doesn't matter if they're losing by 5, they're losing by 6, or they're losing by 10. Bieniemy's putting that offense on the field to fucking score every single fucking time. And I said, this is a team that's probably going to want to backdoor you, because it doesn't matter how much they're down. Fucking Sam Howell and Bieniemy, they got something clicking. They got something hidden right now. And I feel like the offense is coming around. 26 points is still a lot. I get it. Maybe he should have scored 31, whatever. You could say that bullshit. But to me, Sam Howell is not the issue. To me, the issue is mostly the defense has been getting smoked all year. And I know they have Chase Young, but Chase Young, has been dealing with injuries throughout his career. And you look at this fucking team, they gave up 35 to the Broncos, 37 to the Bills, 34 to the Eagles. They gave up 20. They gave up 40 to Justin Fields and the fucking Bears. You got to be kidding me. He gave the Bears the first win of the season. They lost to the fucking Giants 14-7. I mean, come on, you got to be kidding me. They gave up 38 again to the Eagles. Give up 17 to the Patriots, who can only apparently score 6 against the Colts. And then they just gave up 29 right here to Seattle. So they've given up 35, 37, 34, 40, 38, 17, and 29. I mean, this defense is fucking garbage. And even with Chase Young, because again, Chase Young is constantly dealing with injuries. That's part of the reason they sent his ass flying to San Francisco. And by the way, I've heard the rumor report. I've seen a lot of the rumors and a lot of the fucking executives, leaking information about this. And apparently the reason they traded Chase Young away to San Francisco was because San Francisco was the only one willing to give him a high draft pick, number one. And number two, they didn't want to pay for his fucking contract in the offseason, because Chase Young wants another max contract apparently, and San Francisco is more like, nah bro, we ain't gonna give you shit. This is gonna be a booty call. Quick, hit it and fucking quit it. We'll keep you for the rest of the year, help us win a Super Bowl with fucking Brock Purdy, and put you on the other side of Nick Bosa, which I think is gonna be devastating. We'll talk about that game in a minute. But Nick Bosa and Chase Young on opposite sides of each other getting to the QB, man, that shit's gonna be fucking... That's going to be a massacre. That's going to be a bloodbath for offensive linemen. That's going to be fucking murder for any offensive coordinator in this league. Chase Young and Nick Bosa on the same defense, you gotta fucking be kidding me. Now Shanahan basically has a fucking cheat code. By the way, that probably just puts more pressure on that defensive coordinator. I forgot his name, but he's been under a lot of scrutiny and he's been under a lot of pressure because a lot of people are saying they missed the DeMarco dude that went out there to Texas and is now the head coach for the Texans, who are balling right now these days. But and even Salah, the coach for the Jets, if he ends up getting fired in the offseason, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going back to San Francisco and ends up and takes charge of that defense again, because that's the only reason he got the job in New York to begin with, was because he was quote unquote such a great defensive coordinator. And by the way, the Jets defense is still really good. It's not like the Jets defense isn't elite. Like, that's not the issue. It's just, they also have a dumbass at QB. But the point is, like, if Salah ends up getting fired by the Jets, I wouldn't be surprised if he heads back to San Francisco, because a lot of people have questions about, who's doing the defensive play callings in San Francisco. So we'll see what happens with that shit. But anyways, so when I look at the Commanders, I say, you know what? Number one, San Francisco is the only team willing to give him a high draft pick. Two, nobody else wants to pay Chase Young in the offseason because he wants that max money. San Francisco is basically giving away a draft pick for like the next 10 games of Chase Young's services, who's obviously going to be on his best behavior. And that's it. Bingo. Number three, the third and final reason they traded Chase Young to San Francisco was they didn't like his behavior. They didn't fuck with his attitude. They didn't like his bitch ass attitude, because Chase Young was always there bitching on the sidelines saying how, the issue is always the offense, and we're not winning because of the offense, and we're going to keep on losing because of the offense. And he just basically kept pointing fingers. And guess what? He's not wrong. He's not lying. The reason the fucking Washington Commanders haven't done shit in the postseason isn't because of the defense. When Chase Young was on the field, the defense was not the motherfucking issue. When Chase Young was on the field, the defense was not the fucking problem. When Chase Young is actually motivated and feels like fucking playing, the reason they weren't having postseason and regular season success wasn't because of the defense. It was because of the offense. But Chase Young apparently wasn't having it. He was frustrated. I think he told management he has no plans on re-signing, to don't franchise him, that he wants to leave in the offseason, fuck this team, and he wants to go to a team that actually has a good offense. And he wants to play for a contender who's willing to pay him the max money. So they trade him to San Francisco. Hopefully he gets a Super Bowl ring. And then, in the offseason, he's probably going to go somewhere else and leave San Francisco, because right now I know he still wants that max contract extension, and he's not willing to take a pay cut for nobody, even if it means playing with Nick Bosa in that defense. Because right now he's all about his bread, homie. He wants his money, his moolah, his feria, because he's a young guy, and he knows he doesn't have long to capitalize on this opportunity. When you can get max money in the NFL in this league, you gotta capitalize on that shit, because that shit's not going to last forever. You know what I mean? Like, one day they want to give you a max contract extension, and the next day they're letting you walk like Cam Newton. So, you always got to remember that this game is just a business. These fucking CEOs, these managers, these GMs, these supervisors, these bitch-ass owners of these fucking football companies, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about your family, and they don't give a fuck about your financial future. You know what I mean? They just want you to shut the fuck up and, go back to work like you're on a plantation. So you always got to remember that. So, Chase Young, yeah, I would like for him to stay and re-sign with San Francisco and take that pay cut, but he thinks he's on the same level as fucking Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. You know what I mean? Like, he feels like he's on that dude, like Michael Parsons. He feels like he's one of the best defensive ends in football, and he needs to get paid like that. And to be honest, he really is. When he's healthy and he's not there pointing fingers. But by the way, again, he's not wrong. Washington's offense did suck ass. So anyways, though, they just didn't like him publicly pointing fingers, and I think he told management he had zero interest in re-signing with the Commanders in the offseason. So I get it why they traded him. They didn't want to pay him the money. They didn't want to deal with his fucking bitch-ass behavior and attitude. And San Francisco was willing to offer a high draft pick, even though they have no intention of re-signing him either. I think they would like to, but I don't think Chase Young is going to be willing to take a pay cut. I think this is a quick hit him and quit him. Fucking, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Help us get to the Super Bowl and win that shit. And then after that, peace out. You know what I mean? Go get your money somewhere else. Because San Francisco, eventually they're going to have to play Brock Purdy someday. You know what I mean? So we'll see what ends up happening there with their roster and their salary cap management. But for right now, Chase Young, I expect him to leave in the offseason and go get that money somewhere. Wouldn't surprise me if he ends up going and playing for the Houston Texans, honestly, because if you could add Will Anderson and Chase Young, just kind of like they're doing in San Fran with Nick Bosa and Chase Young, I think Houston Texans, because their quarterback, C.J. Stroud, he's on a rookie deal. You know what I mean? He's making small money. So if you can boost that roster around him, and remember, their head coach, guess where he played? Up there in fucking San Francisco. That's where he was a, defensive play coordinator. And they have money to spend this offseason. So if I was the Houston Texans and I want to continue to boost up this defense even more, I would look at getting a Chase Young and giving him the max money because they can afford it. And if they can take their defense to another level higher, C.J. Stroud, you know what I mean? Draft him another young wide receiver or two in the NFL draft, preferably out of Ohio State, his old stomping grounds. I wouldn't be surprised, Draft some young college wide receivers fresh out of college for C.J. Stroud, who he can build chemistry with and are going to be around for a long time. And then you sign a Chase Young in his prime, give him the max contract, you know what I mean? Before you have to pay C.J. Stroud 4 years from now. Shit. I think Houston Texans, if they were smart, they would be looking to sign a Chase Young. I think there's a lot of teams right now with a young QB, with a young quarterback, that should be looking to build up their roster around those young kids. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think someone's going to give them the bag. So anyways, though, Commanders, good team, scrappy team. They got rid of Chase Young, so their defense is probably going to continue to suck. And, and by the way, they weren't playing good even when they had him. You know what I mean? Because again, even with Chase Young, that defense, because of their backfield, their secondary, they were giving up 35. They gave up fucking 33 to the Broncos, 37 to the Bills, 34 to the Eagles, 40 to the Bears, another 38 by the Eagles, fucking 29 by the fucking Seahawks. I'm not saying these are bad teams, but bro, your secondary fucking sucks, even with Chase Young on the field. So, yeah. I think Commanders are probably going to continue to struggle. We'll see what they do in the offseason. If it was me, I would consider drafting a new QB. What's their record right now? Commanders are 4-6. Yeah, I would consider drafting a new QB. But I don't know. I don't really think Sam Howell's the issue. I don't know. If Bieniemy likes Sam Howell and he feels like he's a good enough QB, especially because Sam Howell's not making a lot of money, right? He's on a small contract. If Bieniemy likes him, I would give him, Sam Howell, a contract extension, not for a lot of money, just a little bit. You know what I mean? So you keep him on the roster for the next 4, 5, 6 years on a small fucking salary. And then I would look to draft some more wide receivers. And I would look to, bolster up that defense in the draft because they're going to get a high draft pick. The question is, do they want to get the best defensive player in the draft, or do they want to draft a new QB and, sit there with their shitty ass secondary? Because if you draft a new QB, he may or may not be the future, but your secondary is still going to be trash. So we'll see. Again, I don't have a problem with Sam Howell, but I think it's on Bieniemy because, again, I think Ron Rivera is going to get fired in the offseason. I think they're going to do that man dirty. I don't think it's his fault, but this is a trash organization with a trash garbage management. I would not be surprised if they fire fucking Rivera in the offseason so that way they can hire Bieniemy and say, look, we have the play caller, in Kansas City, and, look what he did with, Tyreek and Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and you know what I mean? They're going to pump them up and shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if inevitably they just let, Ron Rivera walk or let his ass get fired. And I think Bieniemy's going to take charge, and Bieniemy's going to have to make the choice. Do I get the best defensive players with, in the draft with this high draft pick, or do I replace Sam Howell? Right now, I don't think Sam Howell's the issue. Again, he's putting up good enough points, and I think he shows up time and time again in the clutch. It's just his defense just keeps getting burned in the secondary because they're all fucking trash. So we'll have to see what they do in the offseason. But I don't think Sam Howell's the issue. I'm not saying he's the solution, but he's definitely not the issue. So we'll see. But either way, I think Ron Rivera gets fired in the offseason. We'll see what they use their, high draft picks on. And hopefully they fix that secondary. But to me, that's the issue right now, is that secondary's trash. So that's all I got for the Commanders. Anyways, that was an interesting game. Go Geno Smith doing his thing. Again, I don't think they're going anywhere with him. I think he's overrated. I think he's mediocre. I think he's average. I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl with Geno Smith. But what I think Geno Smith is good enough to do is he's good enough to get you into the postseason. He's good enough to maybe win a playoff game. And most importantly, he's good enough to give that coaching staff job security. because as long as you keep making it to the postseason, as long as you keep, trying to win at least one playoff game, you give your fan base hope, you make the owner happy, and you win a bunch of regular season games, and now all of a sudden, Pete Carroll doesn't have to worry about job security the way Bill Belichick is right now, because everybody says, Bill Belichick might get fired in the offseason. So again, I say this with the Patriots. I think Mac Jones is trash and they need to replace him in the offseason. I said that before the season started. I said replace Mac Jones in the upcoming draft. There's about, 6 to 9, maybe 10 QBs who are going to go out from college and jump into the pros. I would take any one of them over fucking Mac Jones' dumbass. And by the way, get rid of Zappy. That dude's a fucking buttfuck retard too. So that's what I would do. I would draft a quarterback with your first round draft pick, and then in the offseason or in the second round, I would draft a young running back because I think the Patriots running game is also trash. So just some recommendations if they're listening to me. All right, let's move on here to the Texans at Bengals. Let me tell you right now, I have to say I'm sorry. Once again, I've been saying sorry for the last 2 weeks. I was very doubtful on Joe Burrow. I had a lot of shit to say about him because I was worried about that injury, that calf injury, his leg injury, his knee injury, calling him a fucking pussy. And the only thing Joe Burrow did after that was win. They beat the Niners. They beat the Bills. They beat this team. They beat that team. They went on like a 4-game winning streak, even with the fucking knee injury, the calf injury, the leg injury, and me saying his pussy probably hurts. And he's been balling. Joe Burrow has been doing really good. But this Texans team, man, after this weekend, they're on the map. After this weekend, they're saying C.J. Stroud might win MVP, not just rookie. We're talking about for the whole damn league. So we're going to see. Again, I would really love for them to get someone like Chase Young in the offseason. He has good rapport with his wide receivers. His offensive line, which is honestly the only thing I worried about before the season started, I said, Texans are probably going to be trash, and it's not going to be because of C.J. Stroud. Just like the Panthers, I thought the Panthers were going to be trash, but I said it wasn't going to be because of Bryce Young. I said it's going to be because both of them have fucking garbage, trash offensive line, and their receivers are kind of average to me. Well, it turns out I was right on one, wrong on the other. Texans wide receivers look like they're fucking elite. They look like they're fucking all-stars. C.J. Stroud is getting just enough protection in the pocket to make those passes, and this defense is always stepping up. The head coach knows what he's doing. I think in the offseason he's going to continue to bolster up that defense, probably in free agency while C.J. Stroud's on that rookie contract, and I think they're going to look to draft more talent in the offense with their draft picks. So I think the offseason is going to be all about signing defensive players in free agencies, and then in the draft is where they're going to address the needs of the offense, and I think that's exactly what they need to be. So bullish on the Texans here. Now, do I think they're going to make the playoffs? Let me check their schedule real quick. By the way, while I'm doing that, Bengals, I think they're going to be fine. Bengals up and down. Honestly, the only thing that matters with the Bengals is if they're going to be healthy come playoffs. Because if Joe Burrow is healthy, they can beat anybody. If he's injured, then they're not beating anybody. So, to me, that's all it really comes down to. I'm not worried about anybody. And by the way, I saw that game. The Bengals should have won that game. They were like on 3rd and goal from like the 6-yard line with like 2 minutes left in the game. And Joe Burrow threw the perfect pass. I think it was to T. Higgins or somebody. The perfect pass right in the end zone. The receiver caught it in his hands. There was nobody around him. And he just dropped that shit. And they had to settle for a field goal. And I was like, bro, what the fuck is this shit? The Bengals were on 3rd and goal from the 6-yard line. He threw it right in the middle of the end zone. Receiver was wide open. Nobody was around him. He caught the ball in his hands and he just fucking muffed it. Just dropped it. And that would have put the Bengals up by 4. Instead, they end up tying the game with the field goal. And then C.J. Stroud does what C.J. Stroud, is prone to do. And he fucking went downfield and he got the field goal to end it. But Bengals should have won that game to me. If it was a playoff game, I think they would have won it. But whatever. Again, I'm not worried about the Bengals roster or their offense or their anything. All I worried about is Joe Burrow and that calf injury. If he's healthy, they can beat anybody in the postseason. All he has to do is be healthy. Him, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, or whoever, the rest of that roster, they'll be all right. Again, what do they say? Wake me up when fucking December ends. That's what I want to do. Wake me up in January come playoff times. And, let me know how Joe Burrow's doing with that injury. That's all that matters when it comes to the Bengals. Everything else is, pretty much meaningless. Because I don't think Joe Burrow cares if they have to go into the postseason on the road or if they get to play in the playoffs at home. I don't think it really matters to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, he could win a game anywhere. He can win a game in fucking New England. He could win a game in Buffalo. He could win a game in Kansas City. He don't give a fuck where he plays. He really don't give a shit. So again, it's just about the roster being healthy. It's about everyone actually being, at their best and showing up, you know what I mean, and helping out Joe Burrow. Because when he's healthy, it don't matter where he plays. He can beat anybody. So anyways, looking at the Texans' fucking schedule, they have Arizona, they're going to lose. Then they got to play Jacksonville, that'll be interesting. Denver, that'll be interesting. Jets, that'll be interesting. Tennessee, that's kind of a gimme. They play Tennessee twice and the Colts. So I think they have like 4 more wins, honestly. I think they're going to beat Arizona. I think they're going to beat Tennessee probably twice with their backup QB. And I think they're going to beat the Colts to end the season. So when you look at it from that perspective, if they beat Tennessee twice, the Colts once, and Arizona once, that's 4 easy wins. That's going to put them at what? Like 8-5 or some shit like that, 9-5. And then after that, the only games they could lose would be the Jacksonville at home, by the way, Denver Broncos at home, by the way, Cleveland Browns, elite defense, but at home, by the way. Those are the only 3 games they could lose to me. That Browns, that Broncos, and those Jags. And all 3 of those games are at home. And the Jets are on the road, so maybe they lose that road game against the Jets. Who fucking knows? That's when, around the time Aaron Rodgers says he might come back. We'll fucking see. But I think those Tennessee games are going to be easy. That Colts game is going to be easy. That Cardinals game is going to be easy. And I don't think they're going to lose to the Jags, the Broncos, the Jets, and the Browns. I think they'll win at least 1 or 2 of those games. Maybe more. Who fucking knows? But yeah, I think the Texans could win 10, 11 games this year. And CJ Stroud might be MVP of the league. Doesn't mean he's going to win the Super Bowl. It just means, he might be that dude. So we'll see. Yeah, we're going to see how it all plays out. But I have the Texans probably, going to the playoffs, and we'll see who they end up playing in the first round. They might win the division, so they might actually host a game in the playoffs. We'll fucking see, but I don't have them winning the Super Bowl right now. But in the offseason, if they can get a Jamar Chase or a big defensive player, and they can get some more fast receivers out of Ohio State, who CJ Stroud already has that chemistry with and doesn't necessarily have to rebuild it in the offseason, just knock off some dust. I bet you there's some Ohio State wide receivers that CJ Stroud, would love to have in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. You know what I mean? And be like, yo, can you hook up my friend, get him in the 4th round? Because I really have a lot of camaraderie or I have a lot of chemistry with this dude versus you getting a wide receiver from another fucking school who I've never even heard about. You know what I mean? So I would love to see them do that for CJ Stroud. And again, just continue to stack and just build that fucking defense brick by brick, piece by piece in the offseason. So very good game, but yeah, I'm not worried about it. I kind of just throw this game away because as far as the Bengals, like I said, they were on the 6-yard line, 9-yard line, 3rd and 10 or 3rd and goal, some shit. And Joe Burrow literally threw the ball to the receiver in the end zone, in the middle, wide open, nobody around him, and he just muffed that shit. And that's why they had to settle for the field goal and just getting 3 to tie it versus taking a 4-point lead and making CJ Stroud drive the length of the field. Not saying he couldn't do it, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Bengals should have won that game, and they would have won by 4. They still wouldn't cover the 6.5. And I told you guys on the podcast last week, I don't trust the Bengals to cover the 6.5, but I think they'll win the game. And they would have, but whatever. That's why I didn't make them part of my teaser. I just took the Patriots Colts under 49.5 with the Seahawks even money, and that ticket cashed. You're fucking welcome, America. But Texans and Bengals, nah, that was a stay away game for me. Panthers Bears, that was a stay away game for me. Probably bearish on the Panthers unless they do something in free agency. And then with the Bears, bullish. We'll see if the GM's a dumbass or if he's a fucking hero in the offseason when it comes to free agency and the NFL draft. All right, Saints at Vikings. This was a stay away game for me, because I told you guys, Derek Carr does nothing but fuck me. And Josh Dobbs, he had a good fucking opening week. We'll see if he wins again. This motherfucker's won back-to-back games. Josh Dobbs, his fucking stock in this league is going up. I hope he gets a max contract extension this summer because he was the only reason Arizona was able to stay alive while Kyler Murray was dealing with his pussy injury. And then he goes in the Vikings the very first week. You know what I mean? He's won games back to back. Josh Dobbs, man, I hope someone gives him a max contract extension this summer because this dude, he is fucking putting on a show, and he's looking like that guy. So, Vikings are now fucking 6-4. Who knows what they end up doing? Maybe they win the division. Who fucking knows? They're 6-4, and you know what I mean? They're right there neck and neck with Detroit. So we'll see how this division ends up shaking out. But man, this is getting pretty interesting. Saints, of course, what I always say about Derek Carr. Man, that's why I stayed away from it, because all he does is like to fuck me. This bitch-ass motherfucker, he goes down with a shoulder injury. Michael Thomas goes down with a neck injury, and they had to go to a backup. And guess who their backup is? Jameis motherfucking Winston. And what does he like to do? He likes to throw TDs and INTs. They had 0 points when Jameis Winston took the field. He scored them 19, and then after that, threw an INT. Go fucking figure. He's the best of both worlds. He's going to throw it deep, and he's going to get picked off deep too. This motherfucker, he slings it, he flings it, he throws it all over the place. He's either throwing a 70-yard fucking TD or he's throwing a 75-yard INT. This motherfucker don't care. He's just a really good backup quarterback because, he's going to throw the ball, whatever. He's going to put up statistics, I guess, but whatever. So yeah, now it looks like Derek Carr's hurt. We'll see how long he's out with that shoulder injury. I think he also went in for concussion protocol. And then on top of that, Michael Thomas is hurt. And I don't think Michael Thomas likes playing with Derek Carr because he feels like he's being underused, just like Devontae Adams felt like he was being underused with Derek Carr. He just doesn't know how to use a deep threat wide receiver because he don't got accuracy like that down the field. Telling you, Derek Carr fucking sucks to me. And then you got the Minnesota Vikings, backup fucking guy. We'll see what's going on with Justin Jefferson. Did Justin Jefferson even play this game? Or is he out for the season with that fucking injury? Let me check real quick. Let me see. Vikings. I didn't watch this game, so I know. No, Jefferson didn't play. I guess they're saying he's not going to come back until he's 100% healthy. All right, bro, you need to get off that bullshit. I'm telling you, as soon as they get offered the max money, all of a sudden they want to play like fucking pussies. Get the fuck out of here. But whatever, hopefully Jefferson can come back and him and Dobbs, they can get some rapport with each other and we'll see what happens. Telling you, if the Vikings make the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised if they upset some team. I don't think they're going to upset the fucking, I'm not going to say they're going to upset the Eagles or, the 49ers or some shit, but could they upset the Cowboys one more time? Shit, Josh Dobbs already beat them once in Arizona. Who knows? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think if the Vikings end up being a road team, like what do they call it? What's it called? Not the divisional champ, a road team, the wild card, excuse me. If they end up getting a wild card seed, I wouldn't be surprised if they upset somebody in the playoffs. I wouldn't be upset, I wouldn't be shocked if they upset the Cowboys or the fucking Lions in the playoffs. Like, would that really shock you? Not really, right? So Vikings, they could be a good upset team. You might want to take them on the money line if they end up getting a wild card. As far as the Saints, they're fucking done. Derek Carr, no Michael Thomas. Kamara's dealing with an injury. Everyone's upset. Everyone's depressed. And they know here comes fucking Jameis Winston with his stupid ass INTs. Yeah, it looks like I think the Bucs are probably going to win the division now. We'll see. It ain't going to be the Panthers, I can tell you that much. And the Falcons, they ain't shit to me. So, I don't know. This is the Bucs fucking division now, to me. So, anyways, that was a stay away game for me. I told you guys I didn't like that shit. Speaking of the Bucs, you have the Titans at the Bucs. Will Levis, another backup QB who's turned starter, because I told you guys Ryan Tannehill's not that guy. Another team that needs to draft a quarterback in the first round. Again, deepest quarterback draft in the last 15 years. There's going to be probably 6, 7, maybe 8 or 9 QBs taken in the first round this year. Titans need to draft somebody because Ryan Tannehill's not that guy, and you're wasting what's his nuts, his big ass name, Derrick Henry. You're wasting Derrick Henry in his prime. He's not always going to be elite. He's not always going to be unstoppable. One day he's going to slow down. One day he's going to grow gray hair. One day his back's going to hurt. One day his knee's going to hurt. One day he's not going to be beast mode like that. He's just going to be an old granddaddy somewhere. He is not going to be in his prime forever. And you guys are fucking wasting it with a quarterback who doesn't have a fucking arm. Will Levis, cool. I hope he stays around. He's good enough to be a backup QB in this league. I would trade Ryan Tannehill for a bag of popcorns to let us walk. I would cut his ass, honestly. And I would draft someone like a Bo Nix or a fucking Hewers or, you know what I mean? Just a quarterback with a cannon for an arm. Because if you can run the play action pass with Derrick Henry as the running back and a QB who has a cannon for an arm, all you have to do is just draft some really fast wide receivers, right? And now all of a sudden, you already have DeAndre Hopkins. Have DeAndre Hopkins get, healthy in the offseason. Have him run full fucking sprint, top-notch speed down the field with Derrick Henry on the play-action pass. And now the free safeties and the DBs are lost because you're either going to get burned by the wide receiver running down the field or Derrick Henry's going to run over your bitch ass. And if you have a quarterback who has a cannon for an arm and who can actually fucking throw the ball downfield, that would be a fucking devastating massacre. That'd be a deadly combo to me. But you have to get a quarterback who has a cannon for a motherfucking arm. Because you get a cannon for an arm and match that up with Derrick Henry on the play action pass, that's fucking magic to me. So, but Will Levis, he's good enough to be a backup QB in this league. I think he's earned it. But cut fucking Ryan Tannehill's dumbass. He fucking sucks. He's garbage. Next up, Packers at Steelers. Let me start with the Packers. This was a stay away game for me. Both these teams are shitty, just like the fucking, I stayed away from a lot of games this weekend, honestly. But, I look at the Packers-Steelers situation, right? And I said the Packers, what did I say about, what's his name? Fucking Love, right? What did I say about that bitch-ass motherfucker? I said he's going to look great statistically. I think he's going to look elite. I think he's going to look special. And I think he's going to look like he belongs when his offensive line is healthy. And what happened after week 2 or week 3? Half his offensive line went down because of injury. That big-ass fool at left tackle, Bakuru, the guy that Aaron Rodgers is in love with and wanted the Jets to trade for him, Bakati, whatever his name is, that Samoan-looking dude, he went down with a fucking ACL injury. He's down for the season. And 2 other starters on the offensive line went down. So I told you guys to stay away from the Packers and fade the Packers from now until the rest of the season ends. Because without his best offensive line, which in my opinion, when healthy, this is the second best offensive line in football, but when they're not healthy and everyone's going down with knee injuries, ankle injuries, ACL tears, that's when Jordan Love gets exposed. That's when Jordan Love shows the truth. And the truth is, he's not the truth. He's not special. He's not elite. He's not the next Aaron Rodgers, and he's not even a good quarterback. He's average to mediocre at best. I think the Packers should immediately look to replace him in the NFL draft. Hopefully that's what they do. Because again, when you have the second best offensive line in football, when healthy, your quarterback can look better than average. Your quarterback can look better than what he really is. Your quarterback's going to get all the time and protection in the pocket, and he's going to be able to throw the ball downfield and throw those easy, quick dump passes for 5-6 yards at a time. He's going to look better than average, even though he really isn't. But that's just hiding the truth. And the truth is Jordan Love is finally getting exposed, and I'm glad he's getting exposed now rather than waiting for him to get exposed in the playoffs. Because now he can't fucking trick you with the illusion of fucking fake skill and making you believe he's elite just because he's behind a great offensive line in football. Now that offensive line is dealing with injuries across the board, now he's getting exposed and the coaching staff can see who he really is. And he's not elite. He's not good. He's not average. He's mediocre at best. So another team that should look to replace their QB in the offseason. By the way, that leads me to the Steelers. I am not really bullish on fucking Kenny Pickett. I think he's a bust. I think he's garbage. And I know people want to blame Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator. Well, guess what? Kenny Pickett also sucks to me. That motherfucker can't throw a good fucking deep pass to save his fucking career. So the Steelers should, I'm telling you, a lot of these teams, they just have shitty quarterbacks. They should also look to draft a wide receiver. Now, with the Steelers, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a tough out. I think what's going to happen is they're going to make the playoffs. They might upset somebody, maybe not. But I think what it's going to come down to is there's going to be a close game in the playoffs, and they're going to need Kenny Pickett to go down the field and score a TD. And instead, he's going to throw an INT. And then Mike Tomlin's going to say, hey, I did the best with what I had. Give me a new quarterback in the offseason. And then also fire Matt Canada's dumbass because he's fucking garbage. But Steelers, they're a stay-away team for me because with the Steelers, their defense can score touchdowns, but Kenny Pickett can also give up touchdowns. So that's why I stay away from the Steelers, and I recommend that everyone just stay away from betting this team because you don't know what's going to happen. TJ Watt could easily get a strip sack and get a fumble and score for you, and Kenny Pickett could also throw a stupid-ass deep pass and have that DB run it back for you. So I feel like, for as much points as the Steelers defense can score, the Steelers offense can also give up the same amount of points. So I'd be wary, I'd be cautious, and I'd stay away from that fucking bitch-ass quarterback out there in Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is not the dude for me. I get it, they're winning a lot of games even though they're giving up a lot of yards. But in my opinion, the big picture is Kenny Pickett's not the dude to run the Mike Tomlin Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And then Packers, just get rid of your quarterback. All right. Next up, Titans at Bucks. Baker Mayfield, stay away game for me. Backup QB versus a mediocre one. Who gives a fuck? That was a stay away game for me. I told you guys stay away from it. And the Titans only put up 6 points. Again, they have a backup quarterback. I think the Bucks, were kind of embarrassed last week because last week they gave up fucking almost 40 to CJ Stroud. So they didn't want to get embarrassed again. I think the defense really, tried to do lockdown, and they held down the Titans to only 6 points. But Baker Mayfield only scored 20. Again, I think they're probably going to win the division. It wouldn't necessarily shock me. It's not going to be the Saints. It's not going to be the Panthers, and it's probably not going to be the Falcons. So the Bucks are probably going to win this game, and then they're going to get upset opening week in the playoffs. And again, it wouldn't shock me if they end up getting upset by the fucking Vikings, who have Josh Dobbs. You know what I mean? Again, wouldn't necessarily shock me. I could easily see them losing to Detroit or the Vikings or the fucking Dallas Cowboys again in the playoffs. It wouldn't fucking shock me. So to me, I think the Bucks, I think the best case is that they lose early in the playoffs, because if the Bucks have to travel to Philadelphia or travel to San Francisco, that's just going to be a massacre. Imagine Baker Mayfield playing against that Niners offense and defense. Imagine Baker Mayfield having to go play out there in Philly against Jalen Hurts and that offense and defense. It would be a fucking bloodbath. So it's probably better for their fan base if they don't win the first game and they just lose opening week to the fucking, like the Lions or the Vikings or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Versus getting humiliated on national TV up in San Francisco. So to me, that's how I look at it. Speaking of San Francisco, them versus the Jags. Jags got blown out. San Francisco looks good again. A lot of people are saying that's because Deebo Samuels. I don't really have anything to say about San Francisco. I told you guys the -3 looked amazing to me. That was one of my favorite bets of the week. But again, San Francisco, the story to me is no one really believes in Brock Purdy because he hasn't done it in the playoffs because he got injured last year. But no one really believes in Brock Purdy. So no matter how many games they win, no matter how many blowouts they have, no matter how much they dominate in the regular season, I think there's always going to be those skeptics and critics who are saying, yeah, but what about the playoffs? So I think 49ers, I think they're going to continue to blow people out in the regular season. You could probably make a shit ton of money on that. But in my opinion, as far as their reputation is concerned, nobody cares about what they do in the regular season anymore. The only thing they care about is what does Brock Purdy look like in the playoffs. So as far as like reputation, we have to wait until January, February. But as far as making money in the regular season, I think they're going to continue to have a bunch of blowouts because Nick Bosa and Chase Young are unstoppable to me. They're a dominant duo to me. And I think they're going to massacre every offensive line in football to me. So bet the 49ers every single week moving forward. I think they're going to have nothing but blowouts. By the way, who's their next game against? Let's look at that San Francisco 49ers schedule. San Francisco 49ers, let's see. They beat the Jags. Yeah, they're going to play the Bucks at home. Again, I think that's going to be where Baker Mayfield gets exposed. I think the Bucks are going to lose by 40, and it's going to tell the Bucks they should probably lose opening week, because if the Bucks have to go back to San Francisco 2 months from now in the postseason, they're going to lose again by 40, maybe even 50, 60, 70. Who fucking knows? Baker Mayfield is not ready for that action. He does not want that smoke. They would fucking crucify him on the cross. Get the fuck out of here. But then after that, they have to go, San Francisco that is, they have to go play in Seattle. I think they're going to destroy Geno Smith. Then they got to go play Philadelphia out there in Philly. I think that's going to be a revenge game. I'm going to take 49ers with the upset victory. I think they're going to beat the Eagles in Philly. Then they come back home. They might have a trap game against Seattle, but I don't think they will. I think that defense is just too elite now that they got Chase Young. Then after that, they finish off the season. I think they're going to beat the Cardinals. I think they're going to beat Washington. And then they have a home game against the Rams. That's going to be easy for them. And then they have a home game against the Ravens. The Ravens will be interesting, but I think, again, with Chase Young, I think that's just too much. And I think Lamar Jackson is going to get exposed again. Because I tell you guys, Lamar Jackson looks really good until he has to play a top 10 defense. And then that's when it's not just him, but when Lamar Jackson plays a top 10 defense, that's when his wide receivers and his offensive linemen get exposed. It's not just about Lamar Jackson can't beat a top 10 defense. It's that his offensive linemen and his wide receivers can't get separation against a top 10 defense. So to me, it's not just on Lamar. It's also the fact that his receivers look really good when they play against shitty DBs, but when you play it against the elite group, all of a sudden, they're not getting open as much as they used to be, and then Lamar Jackson has no one to throw to. So it's more than one thing. So anyways though, but yeah, I would basically take San Francisco on the spread and on the money line every single game for the rest of the season because I think it's going to be blowout nation out there in San Francisco. I think they're going to go all the way to the fucking Super Bowl and win that shit in my opinion. At the very least, they're going to the NFC Championship in my opinion. All right, next up, speaking of Lamar Jackson, Action Jackson, you had the Browns at the Ravens. Look, nobody believes in the Browns. Nobody believes in Deshaun Watson. Nobody likes Deshaun Watson. Nobody cares about Deshaun Watson. But the Cleveland Browns have one of the best defenses in football this year, and I think we have to respect that. Statistically, that is. Ravens were on the roll. Ravens look really good, but what did I tell you guys about the Ravens? I don't believe in the Ravens offense because I feel like they can't beat a top 10 defense, in my opinion. Look at the teams they beat. They lost to the Colts. They beat the Bengals. That was when Joe Burrow was dealing with the injuries. They beat the Browns once this year, 28-3, but then they lose to the Steelers, top 10 defense. They beat the Titans. They beat the Detroit Lions, who no longer look like they have an elite defense. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there. The Lions defense is starting to look like trash, but Jared Goff is picking it up a little bit. They beat the Cardinals, nobody cares. They beat Seattle, and nobody cares. And then they lose to the fucking Browns. Maybe this was just a one-off. Maybe this was an outlier game. Or maybe it just really highlights the fact that this Ravens offense struggles against the top defenses. Again, it's not just Lamar Jackson. It's the fact that his wide receivers get exposed sometimes. And OBJ is not the dude with the smoke. He's not who he used to be. So, I don't know. I don't really trust the Ravens. And you know what I would like to see? I know they beat the Texans opening week. I took Ravens on the money line that week. I would love to see the Houston Texans win the division, and then for the Browns or the Steelers to win their division. And I would love for the Ravens to have to play the Texans on the road. And I think if they had a rematch in the postseason, I think the Texans would actually beat the Ravens at home. And I think Lamar Jackson will once again go for another year without having won a playoff game. Because I think in Lamar Jackson's entire career, he's only won one playoff game. And that to me stands out to me. Again, I'm not saying it's all his fault. But damn, bro, you looking more and more like Derek Carr these days. Been in the league fucking 10, 12 years, only one playoff victory. At some point, winning's gotta fucking matter. At some point, winning fucking matters. You can't give me excuses for 10 straight years. Like, bro, everyone has that shit. Just like they do an asshole. So at some point, I'm just saying winning fucking matters. Like at some point, you can't just go 0-20 in your entire fucking playoff career and say you were a success. Like, nah, bro, at some point you gotta win something. And right now, Lamar Jackson's only had one playoff victory in his entire fucking career. So, anyways, that's just me. I think if the Ravens had to play the Texans again in the postseason, because I don't think the Ravens are going to win the division, I think it might be the Steelers or the Browns. Who fucking knows? I hope the Ravens don't win the division, and I hope the Texans do win their division, because I would like to see a rematch. Ravens at Texans, and I think Ravens win that shit. Just my opinion. All right. And then Browns, I don't think they're going to have any postseason success because I don't think the NFL is going to allow Deshaun Watson to have a playoff victory. I think the Browns are going to go to the postseason and then they're going to lose their first playoff game. And I think the NFL is going to make sure with their crooked ass referees, with their crooked ass officiating, and with their bullshit fucking penalties and calls, they're going to guarantee and ensure that Deshaun Watson does not have a successful postseason because I think it looks bad for the league if he did. That's just my opinion. Conspiracy theory, I know, but that's just my opinion. You can't have Deshaun Watson having postseason success because, oh my God, in this bullshit ass world we live in, you know how many people are going to blow that shit up on social media? Rapists getting promoted by the league now. OMG. I'm telling you, that's what it would be on social media. So yeah, zero chance to win the Super Bowl, and I'm not even sure they allow him to win one playoff game. I really don't. That's just my opinion. Conspiracy theorist. All right, Falcons at Cardinals. I told you guys I don't care. I will say this though on the Falcons and Cardinals. I don't like the Falcons. I don't fuck with the Falcons, and I think Riddler's a bitch. I just can't stand his fucking face. I can't stand to look at him, and I hate that fucking team. I am not a fan of the Falcons. They fucking trash to me. The Cardinals, I'll say this though. I was surprised that Kyler Murray played well, and I'm surprised that Kyler Murray actually won that game. But I think that's actually bad. I think the fan base in Arizona is done with Kyler Murray. I don't think they can stand Kyler Murray, and I think they're sick of Kyler Murray. And I think everyone in fucking Arizona wanted Caleb Williams. And now they're 2-8, and now they're one step further away from drafting Caleb Williams. So I think everyone in Arizona is actually upset. I think everyone in Arizona is frustrated, and I think after the win, everyone was booing in the stadium. They were like, boo, fuck you, Kyler. Get the fuck out of here. Get your fucking max contract extension and go away. We wanted Caleb Williams to fucking play. So it sucks, but Kyler Murray, like the bitch he is, always making life harder on people. Wouldn't be surprised if he won one or two more games this season just to stick it to them, so that way he has more job security. Because if you don't get Caleb Williams, then the management is going to say, well, you might as well stay, because if we're not going to get Caleb Williams, and we already gave you the extension, you might as well stay. And you look at the rest of the schedule, they play the Texans, they're probably going to lose. They're going to play the Steelers, they're probably going to lose. They're going to play the 49ers, they're probably going to lose by 100. But they might beat the Rams, and they might beat the Bears. And they might beat the Seahawks. Nah, maybe not the Seahawks. It depends. If the Seahawks don't have anything to play for at the end of the season, and that game is at home, and the Seahawks already locked up their playoff seed, maybe the Seahawks don't play Geno Smith, or maybe they only play Geno Smith and the starters for the first half, because that's the last game of the year. If the Seahawks already not clinched their division, but if the Seahawks clinch their playoff seed, or maybe they rather lose that game at the end of the year so they have a better matchup advantage depending how the schedule works out, I could see the Seahawks intentionally trying to lose that game. But either way, yeah, the Cardinals are going to lose to the 49ers and the Eagles and the Steelers probably. But I could see them beating either the Bears or the Rams. And then maybe that Seahawks game is a throwaway game. And they don't want to play Geno Smith. So the Cardinals, could win at least one or two more games this year. And who knows, maybe all of a sudden they go from drafting Caleb Williams to not drafting him. And now that's going to give Kyler Murray more job security. So if you're Kyler Murray, you probably want to win as many games as possible from now until the rest of the year, so you have more job security and staying on the roster, especially if they already gave you the max money. So I think it's in Kyler Murray's best interest that he continues to win, or at least tries to anyways. So very interesting, but I think it's sad and I think it's depressing for Cardinals fans all over the nation, because I think if he does continue to win, they're just going to continue to lose out on Caleb Williams. And that fucking sucks, because they already went through so much. And again, I don't think anyone in Arizona really fucks with Kyler Murray. I don't think they like him like that, because they know he's a fucking bitch, and every time he fucking gets hit, he's over here talking about another fucking injury, because he's not fucking built like that. Either way, I would look to replace him in the offseason, and I would trade him for a bag of popcorn somewhere. The fuck out of here. All right, Lions at Chargers. I told you guys this was my second or third favorite bet of the week. I said I really enjoyed the Lions -3. This game was a lot closer to me than it should be. I thought the Lions were going to win that shit like 35-17. This shit was 41-38. The only thing I got to say about this is the Lions offense continues to still be clicking, but their defense is starting to be questionable. I'm not surprised they put up 41. I'm shocked that they gave up 38. And then I started to look through their schedule real quick. Let's pull up the fucking Detroit Lions schedule real quick, America. You look at this fucking schedule, outside of fucking beating the Chiefs, again, without fucking Travis Kelce, without fucking, what's that dude's name? Their best defensive player? I forgot his name, whatever. But besides, winning that game without those two, they gave up 37 to the Seahawks. They held the Falcons down to 6 points, but who cares? That's the Falcons. They gave up 20 to Green Bay. That's questionable now. They gave up 24 to the Panthers. Again, they put up 42, but they still gave up 24 to the Panthers. They gave up 6 to Baker Mayfield, but that's Baker Mayfield. And then, again, a lot of the teams that Detroit's beating, it's a lot of bad teams. The Raiders, they held the Raiders down to 14. But then you look at the good teams. Just look at the good teams they played. They gave up 37 to the Seahawks. They gave up 38 to the Ravens, and they just gave up 38 to the Chargers. So those are the only three teams that are good that they actually played, outside of the Chiefs without their two best players, outside of Patrick Mahomes. But you look at that Seahawks game. They lost and they gave up 37. They lost to the Ravens and gave up 38. And then they beat the Chargers, but they also gave up 38. The only teams they really held on check on defense was the Raiders, the Bucks, the Panthers, the Packers, the Falcons. Like, these are garbage teams that your defense is supposed to hold down. So, again, I have no worries about the offense. They just put up 41 right now. And I told you guys I liked them to cover the 3. Ended up being a push, but whatever. To me, the bigger issue is they gave up 38 to the Chargers, and the Chargers are not elite. Again, Stanley's a dumbass. Stanley should not be a head coach in this league. I hate the fucking Chargers. I hope they miss the playoffs again. This dude's a fucking bitch. The only reason I would want the Chargers to make the playoffs again is so that way they can go on the road and have to play someone like the fucking Chiefs or play the Buffalo Bills or somebody. I hope the Chargers almost make the playoffs just because I want to see them get smoked, and I want to see them get obliterated on national TV. Either that or just missed the postseason like some bitches. But I'm not a fan of the Chargers, and it's not because of Justin Herbert. It's not because of Khalil Mack. It's not because of Joey Bosa, although I think he has a bitch ass attitude too. Really, I just don't like the coach. And yeah, and I think Joey Bosa acts like a little fucking pussy ass bitch sometimes too with his stupid ass attitude. Yeah, I just don't like the players on the team, honestly. So fuck the Chargers. I'd fade them. I hope they miss the postseason, but part of me wants them to make it just so I could watch their ass get blown out. And I would fade that team in the postseason because Stanley's a bitch. So anyways, that's my opinions on that. Just in case you didn't know, Stanley's a bitch. All right, moving on. Lions, by the way, they're going to do all right. I'm not sure if I trust them in the postseason because they're out there in the NFC. So they're going to have to play the Niners. They're going to have to play Philly. I think they could beat the Cowboys. But again, as much as I think they could beat the Cowboys, I also wouldn't be shocked if they get upset by the Vikings. Like, I don't know. It's tricky to me. Either way, I don't think the Lions are going to win the whole thing. Let's just put it that way. Do you think the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl this year? Not really. Or they make it to the Super Bowl and they lose again. Good job, Jared Goff. I'm not trying to put the blame on him. It's just that I think sometimes he looks really good, and then sometimes you're just like, oh, that's why the Rams traded you away. You know what I mean? Like, again, they've only really played two great teams, and they lost to both of them. They lost to the Ravens, and they lost to the fucking, the Seahawks or whatever. But everyone else they played was who? The Raiders, the Panthers, the Buccaneers, the fucking, you know what I mean? The Green Bay Packers. Who have they really beaten this season? They beat the Chiefs and they beat them by 1 point with two of their best players down. So all their wins have really become against mediocre teams. The Bucks, the Panthers, the Packers, the Raiders with Jimmy Garoppolo. You got to be kidding me. Like, you look at a lot of their wins and they're questionable. And you look at their losses, the Ravens, the Seahawks, that kind of sticks out more. Again, you beat the Chargers. Chargers aren't an elite team and they still put up 38 on you. So to me, I'm starting to worry about the Lions. And I don't trust them in the postseason. And again, I'm not putting it all on Jared Goff. But sometimes he has these moments where you're just like, fuck, man. That's that bullshit we were waiting for. So anyways, that was that. Next up, two more games. We have the Giants at the Cowboys, right? I got about 10 minutes left to get through this. Giants at the Cowboys. I told you guys that was my second favorite teaser of the week. I like the Giants were favored by 17. Cowboys were favored by 17. I said take a 7-point teaser and get them down to -10. And then the over-under was around 39. I said get the over and get the teaser. So that way instead of over 39, you can get them over 32, 32 and a half, some shit. And I said I would love to get the Cowboys -10, and I like to get the over-under to over 31.5, over 32.5, because I think it was like 39. So I like the 7-point teaser and that ticket cash. I told you guys that shit was going to be an easy victory because I thought the Giants were going to get blown out with a third-string quarterback, and I thought the game was actually going to be 49-0. Ended up being 49-17, but whatever. And I also told you guys to take the over on all the player props. I said take the over on sacks, take the over on interceptions, take the over on Dak Prescott yards, Dak Prescott completions, Dak Prescott touchdowns, over on rushing yards. I said basically take the Cowboys over on everything, on the defense and the motherfucking offense. I said Dak Prescott's going to have a field day, take the over on yards, the over on completions, the over on touchdowns, and then on the defense, give me Cowboys defense over on fucking sacks, tackles for a loss, give me all that shit. And give me over on interceptions. And guess what happened? The over hit. The over hit on yards, the over hit on touchdown passes, the over hit on completions, the over hit on sacks, the over hit on interceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I'm making this too easy for you. You guys should fucking appreciate it's free. Anyways, though, moving on. Next one, Jets at Raiders. I told you guys this was going to be my Sunday night cap, and I told you guys to take the Raiders on the money line because the Raiders are re-energized, the Raiders are motivated, and the Raiders are fucking happy. The city's on fire, the city's excited, the city's energized, got rid of fucking, dipshit morons, bitch ass, and nobody even liked McDaniels, and now the locker room is happy. The locker room is excited. Josh Jacobs is fucking running for his fucking life again. Devontae Adams has a smile on the sideline again. The defense is playing up. So I told you guys, give me the Raiders on the money line, plus 110, plus 115, and boom, that shit fucking cashed. Now you look at the Raiders schedule from now into the rest of the season. They got to play Miami on the road. That might be tough. Then they got to stay at home against Kansas City. That might be tough. Got a game against the Vikings and Josh Dobbs. That might be tough. Then you got to go on the road one more time against Kansas City. That might be tough. And then you finish out the year against the Broncos. I'll say this. I think the Raiders are probably going to lose 4 of their next 5 games. I think they're going to lose against the Vikings. They're going to lose against Miami. They're going to lose against the Chiefs. And they might even lose against the Chargers. But, and by the way, they play the Chiefs twice. You got to be kidding me. But I think they're going to finish off the year on a winning streak. I think they're going to beat the Colts on the road. And I think they're going to beat the Broncos at home. And I think when they do that, they're going to say, look, guys, it wasn't such a bad year. We finished off the year, 7-10 or 8-9, but we finished out the year strong with back-to-back victories. I think the Raiders are going to lose 4 of the next 5, but they're going to win their last 2 games, and they're going to win at home against the Broncos. And if that's the case, they're going to say, let's go into the offseason. We have our quarterback, we have our running back, we have our fucking wide receiver. All we got to do is boost up the offensive line, and then after that, add some more pieces on defense, because the defense is all right. But if you could add, 1 or 2 more players, like a motherfucking Chase Young, who knows? You got rid of Garoppolo's dumbass. Now you're going to save money because you're paying a backup QB. If that's the case, you need to stack the roster around them just like they do with Brock Purdy. So again, if you got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and you're saving money, the only player on the team, the only 2 guys on the team who make max money are Max Crosby and Devontae Adams and maybe Josh Jacobs. But again, you got a backup QB. You need to continue to load the fucking defense. Your offense is all right. You can draft some more fast, quick wide receivers who you can pay on the cheap. So to me, if I was the Raiders, I would draft some wide receivers in the first and second round, right? Maybe even another big ass tight end or 2, and just continue to bolster this offensive line. But other than that, you got Devontae Adams, and you got Josh Jacobs. All you got to do is just add maybe 1 or 2 more wide receivers, maybe 1 or 2 more on the offensive line. And on the defense, I would continue to look into free agency. Again, like a motherfucking Khalil Mack, like a motherfucking Chase Young, like a motherfucking somebody. And pay that dude and stack up the roster against this fucking young, inexperienced backup QB who has a lot of potential. Get some talent around him on this roster. He's getting paid cheap for a reason. You guys need to take advantage of it like San Francisco does with Brock Purdy. That's just my opinion. And as far as the Jets, no one cares until December. Wake me up when Aaron Rodgers returns. All right, last but not least, we have one game tonight. We were 4-0, 6-0 on our tickets. Both the teasers cashed. I told you guys, Seahawks even money, Patriots the under, and then the teaser on that Cowboys game, Cowboys -10 and Cowboys on the under. That shit cashed. The Lions -3 was basically a victory. The 49ers -3 was basically, that was an easy victory. So I'll give you guys the 5th and final play for tonight. And the 5th and I took the Raiders on the money line. That was an upset victory. Boom, that shit cashed. And so now here we go, my final play for the week and my final play for tonight. Broncos at Bills. I don't trust the Bills. I don't like the Bills. Fuck Bills Mafia. Josh Allen can kiss my motherfucking ass. This is a game I'm betting with hate. This is a game I'm betting with despise. And this is a game that I'm fucking fading this bitch ass fucking Bills roster because everyone's fucking injured. And I think Josh Allen too many times plays like fucking ass. Give me the Broncos. Give me Russell Wilson coming off a bye week. And give me the fucking Denver Broncos in this situation. I think the Denver Broncos are going to do it. I think they're going to pull off the upset. They had 2 weeks to prepare for this shit. I think the Bills have too many ups and downs. They lose against Jacksonville in London. Then they beat the Giants barely 14-9. Then they lose on the road to New England. Then they beat the fucking Bucks by only 6. Then they lose against Cincinnati. It's like, fuck, up, down, all around. Fuck these guys. They're not consistent. They're fucking whack. And I told you guys before the season started, before the fucking season started on my first NFL clip on this fucking channel, I told you guys the Bills are overrated. The Bills are going to lose 5 to 6 games, maybe 7 this season. I said you're going to make more money fading them than you are going to be riding them. I think they have too much disconnect. They're not cohesive. They're not playing as a unit. Now they're dealing with a shit ton of fucking injuries. Diggs is always unhappy. Josh Allen looks like he's fucking walking a fine line. The defense is injured. McDermott looks like he's fucking lost because the coach left in the offseason. I feel like this team is in dismay. I think they need to rebuild this roster. I think they need to get rid of Diggs because he has a bitch-ass attitude, a bitch-ass personality on his stupid-ass, bitch-ass behavior. I think they need to look to trade him away because all he does is look like he's fucking unhappy with his bitch-ass bipolar self. And I think Josh Allen just needs some new young wide receivers who he could be the veteran. He could be the mentor. He can be the OG in the locker room. because he's the franchise guy, but I feel like Diggs is over here yelling at him like he's running the team. So I don't know. I'd look to trade Diggs. Trade him somewhere, maybe to the Texans, maybe to, because they could afford to pay him. Pay him to Jacksonville. Send him somewhere. Send him to the fucking Raiders. Who knows? But yeah, I would trade Diggs. I would get a bunch of fucking draft capital for him, and I would draft some young, fast wide receivers who, Josh Allen, he could be the mentor. He could be the veteran. He could be the OG in the locker room. And I would look to do some shit like that, because right now Diggs' attitude is fucking toxic for that entire fucking locker room. That's just my opinion. Not saying he's not a great talent, but his attitude sometimes, that fucking kills me, man. And that can tear apart a locker room, honestly. Just ask Donovan McNabb and T.O. about it, because it's the same thing playing out, except now out there with all the white people in fucking Buffalo. So anyways, my opinion is I would fade the Buffalo Bills. I would take the Broncos on the money line. This is my biggest upset of the week. I think if you get them now, you can get them around plus 200, plus 210, plus 250, and I would do that. We're 5-0 for the week. I told you guys, I gave you guys 2 teasers, 2 straight up bets, and 2 fucking upsets. All the tickets are cash. We're 100% for the week. The morning teaser hit with the Seahawks and the Patriots game. The second teaser hit with the Giants and the Cowboys game. My underdog of the week so far hit Raiders plus money, plus 110. And then my 2 straight bets, Detroit and Niners, -3. Those tickets cashed as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I gave you everything. I gave you the teasers. I gave you the straight bets. I gave you the upsets. And now I'm giving you another free bet on Monday night. Ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you if you want to accept that bet. But to me, Broncos, I'm not saying put a shit ton of money, but as I always say, I would put a little something, because this Bills Mafia, this Bills roster, and this Bills locker room is fucking fractured, and everyone is fucking frustrated, and I think they're going to continue to get upset. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, everybody.